Letting go is often seen as a negative act, but in reality, it's one of the most powerful and healing things you can do for yourself. It's not about hatred or resentment. It's about acknowledging that some people, no matter how close they once were, no longer align with your purpose or your journey. There comes a point in everyone's life when you realize that holding on to certain people, situations, or habits only holds you back from the greatness you're meant to achieve. The challenge is recognizing who and what to let go of, without guilt, shame, or fear. The act of letting go is not about devaluing those individuals. It's about recognizing that your path has evolved, and it's okay to make the conscious decision to move forward. Letting go creates space for new opportunities, growth, and people who are meant to align with your vision. In this chapter, we will dive deep into why and how to identify who to let go of, how to release the grip of guilt, and how to embrace the freedom that comes with it. The silent weight of holding on. We all have moments in our lives when we hold on to something or someone, even when we know deep down that it no longer serves us. It's as if we can't let go, even when the weight of holding on becomes unbearable. This is one of the most challenging things about life. The silent weight we carry when we continue to cling to relationships, situations, or dreams that are no longer in alignment with who we are becoming. Have you ever felt like you were carrying a heavy load, emotionally drained by something or someone, yet you continued to hold on because you couldn't imagine life without them? This weight, this burden, is often so subtle that we don't even realize how much it affects us. But make no mistake, the longer you hold on to what is no longer meant for you, the heavier the load becomes. The cost is not just emotional, it can affect your physical health, your relationships, and your ability to move forward. Many times, we hold on because of guilt. We feel responsible for other people's happiness, even when they no longer add value to our lives. We want to help, to fix, to hold on to what once was, even when it's clear that the relationship has expired. But guilt is not love. Guilt is a prison we lock ourselves into, believing that we owe others something that, in reality, we can no longer give. Guilt traps us in the past, making us afraid of moving forward. Think about a time in your life when you stayed in a situation that no longer served you because you felt guilty for leaving. Perhaps it was a friendship that had turned toxic, or a job that drained your energy. Maybe it was a romantic relationship where you knew in your heart it wasn't right, but the fear of leaving and feeling guilty weighed on you. How did it feel to stay? The longer you stayed, the more exhausted you became. You felt like you were living in two worlds, the world you wanted for yourself and the world you had to keep for someone else. This is the silent weight of holding on. It wears you down over time. And in the process, you begin to lose sight of your own needs, your dreams, and your desires. You begin to put others' happiness before your own, even when it means sacrificing your peace. The truth is, guilt doesn't keep relationships alive. Guilt keeps you stuck. It keeps you from moving forward, from healing, from living the life you deserve. But here's something crucial to understand. Holding on to someone or something that no longer aligns with your path doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a prisoner. And in the process, you rob both yourself and the other person of the opportunity to grow. When we hold on out of guilt or fear, we stop ourselves from fully embracing the next chapter of our lives. We become stuck in the past, clinging to memories that no longer fit our present reality. Now, let's get deeper into the concept of holding on to people or situations that have expired in your life. Think of your life as a garden. If you continue to water dead plants and ignore the ones that are growing and thriving, eventually, your garden will wither. You'll be so focused on what is no longer working that you neglect what has the potential to grow into something beautiful. The people we meet, the situations we encounter, and the opportunities we take part in are like seeds we plant in our lives. Some of these seeds bloom into something incredible, while others wither away after a season. Not every relationship is meant to be lifelong. Not every opportunity is meant to be grasped forever. But the fear of letting go, the belief that we must keep everything we've planted, often leads us to neglect the ones that are growing. In fact, the longer we hold on to things that no longer serve us, the more we miss out on the opportunities that are waiting for us. We are too busy holding on to what is dead to notice what is still alive and growing around us. And the result is a life that feels stagnant, suffocated by what should have been let go. At some point, you have to ask yourself, what is this costing me? What is the price of holding on to people or situations that are not in alignment with your future? Are you trading your peace, your happiness, or your growth for the comfort of staying the same? Now, think back to a time when you let go of something or someone that no longer served you. It could have been a friendship, a job, or a relationship. What happened after you let go? Did you feel lighter? Did you feel a sense of freedom, even if it was difficult at first? Letting go, no matter how painful, opens the door to new possibilities. It creates space for new energy, new people, and new opportunities to enter your life. But holding on to what has expired blocks that flow. It holds you back from fully embracing the future. The pain of letting go is often temporary, but the freedom that comes afterward lasts a lifetime. The problem with holding on is that it often stems from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being alone, fear of change. But the truth is, fear keeps you stuck in a life that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. When you let go, you step into your power. You stop letting fear dictate your future, and you start creating the life you truly deserve. So ask yourself today, what is the silent weight I'm carrying? Who or what am I holding on to out of guilt, fear, or obligation? And what would happen if I finally released it? Imagine the freedom. Imagine the growth. Imagine the opportunities that would open up if you chose to let go of what is no longer serving you. When you release the weight, you allow space for your true potential to emerge. You give yourself permission to move forward, to embrace the future, and to welcome the growth that awaits. And in doing so, you become the person you are truly meant to be. The power of knowing when to let go. Knowing when to let go is one of the most powerful choices you can make in your life. It is an act of self-love, an act of self-respect, and an act of personal growth. But the truth is, it is also one of the most difficult decisions to make. We often struggle to let go of people, places, or things because we fear the unknown. We fear the emptiness that might follow. We fear the pain of walking away from something familiar. But here's the truth. Letting go is not about losing something. It's about gaining something even greater. There are moments in life when holding on becomes a burden rather than a blessing. Think about the weight you carry when you hold on to relationships that have expired. The more you hold on, the more your energy is drained. Your emotions are taxed. Your sense of self-worth diminishes. And yet, we continue to hold on because we are afraid of what life will be like if we let go. But the pain of staying stuck in an unhealthy relationship, situation, or mindset is far greater than the temporary discomfort of releasing it. I want you to reflect for a moment. How many times have you held on to something just because it was familiar, even though deep inside you knew it no longer belonged in your life? Think about a time when you stayed in a relationship for far too long, even though it didn't serve you. You may have stayed out of guilt, fear, or a misplaced sense of loyalty. You may have stayed because you didn't want to hurt the other person, or because you didn't want to feel like a failure for walking away. But what was the cost of staying? The truth is, staying in situations that no longer serve us only keeps us stuck in the past. We're afraid to step into the future because we're still holding on to people or things that no longer align with who we're becoming. This is why knowing when to let go is so crucial. It's not just about letting go of people. It's about letting go of old versions of yourself. Let me share a story about a man named Thomas. Thomas had been in a toxic friendship for years. On the surface, it seemed like a normal relationship, friendly, supportive, and familiar. But deep down, Thomas knew something was off. His friend constantly put him down, made him feel less than, and took advantage of his generosity. Every time Thomas tried to speak up or set boundaries, his friend dismissed his feelings and manipulated the situation to make Thomas feel guilty. For years, Thomas ignored the red flags. He believed that if he stayed loyal, if he kept giving, his friend would eventually change. But the more he stayed, the more exhausted he became. He began to question his own worth. He felt drained and defeated. But one day, after a particularly painful argument, Thomas reached his breaking point. He realized that his friend was never going to change and that it was time to let go. But letting go wasn't easy. Thomas was filled with guilt and shame. He felt like he was abandoning his friend. He feared being alone and wondered if he was making the right choice. However, after months of internal struggle, Thomas finally made the decision to walk away. He was surprised by the immediate sense of relief that flooded him. He had carried the weight of this toxic friendship for so long that he had forgotten what it felt like to breathe freely. In the months that followed, Thomas began to heal. He rediscovered his confidence, his worth, and his happiness. He found new friendships that supported and uplifted him. He realized that letting go wasn't about walking away from someone. It was about walking toward a better version of himself. And in that process, he realized that letting go of what no longer served him was the greatest gift he could give to himself. Now, think about your own life. Are there people, situations, or habits that you are holding on to, even though deep down you know they don't belong in your future? Are you staying in a job that drains your energy because you're afraid of change? Are you staying in a relationship because you don't want to disappoint someone, even though it's no longer making you happy? What would it look like if you made the decision to let go? The power of knowing when to let go is realizing that holding on to what no longer serves you prevents you from fully stepping into your future. When you hold on to the past, you can't fully embrace the opportunities that await you. Letting go is not an act of weakness, it's an act of empowerment. It is a conscious decision to take control of your life, to free yourself from emotional baggage, and to create space for what is meant to enter your life. Sometimes the hardest part of letting go is the guilt we feel. We often confuse letting go with betrayal, abandonment, or selfishness. But here's the truth. Letting go is not selfish. It's self-care. It's the ability to recognize that your peace, your happiness, and your future are worth more than holding on to something that keeps you stuck in the past. Think about it this way. If you are in a relationship that constantly drains you, constantly makes you feel less than, constantly makes you question your worth, then staying in that relationship does not honor your true self. It doesn't allow you to grow. It doesn't allow you to become the person you are meant to be. And if you cannot let go of something that is holding you back, then you are denying yourself the chance to experience something greater. But here's the beauty of letting go. It doesn't mean you'll never experience pain. It doesn't mean you won't grieve the loss of something or someone you once cared about. But it means you are choosing yourself, your future, and your growth. Letting go creates the space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new growth to enter your life. It frees you from the limitations of the past and empowers you to build a future that aligns with who you truly are. In the end, knowing when to let go is about trusting yourself and your journey. It's about knowing that you deserve better and that you are worthy of a life that brings you peace, joy, and fulfillment. So, the next time you find yourself clinging to something or someone that's not serving you, ask yourself, what am I really holding on to? What is it costing me? And is this relationship, situation, or habit worth the price of staying stuck? The power of knowing when to let go is realizing that sometimes the best way forward is to walk away. Releasing the grip of guilt. Guilt is one of the most powerful and paralyzing emotions we experience. It creeps in silently, often disguised as concern or responsibility, but it holds us back from moving forward. Guilt makes us feel like we owe others something, that we are somehow responsible for their feelings, their happiness, or their well-being. And the most dangerous thing about guilt is that it convinces us we are doing the right thing by staying stuck, by continuing to hold on to relationships and situations that no longer serve us. But in reality, guilt keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-sacrifice, preventing us from stepping into the life we deserve. When we talk about letting go, the biggest hurdle for most people is not the act of releasing itself, it's the guilt that comes with it. Guilt tells us we are betraying someone, abandoning them, or being selfish by choosing our own well-being over someone else's needs. But what if I told you that guilt is a lie? What if I told you that letting go for your own mental, emotional, and spiritual health is not a betrayal? It is an act of courage, growth, and self-respect. We need to understand that guilt is not love. Often, we stay in toxic situations or relationships out of guilt, convincing ourselves that it's the right thing to do. We feel like we are somehow obligated to stay, to continue giving, to keep investing time and energy into someone who no longer brings us peace. But guilt keeps us stuck in the past, chained to people and situations that prevent us from evolving. It feeds the narrative that we are responsible for others' happiness. And in doing so, it takes away our power to create our own. Consider this. How often have you stayed in a relationship because you felt guilty about leaving? Maybe it was a friendship that had run its course. Maybe it was a romantic partner who no longer treated you with respect. Maybe it was a family dynamic that caused you constant emotional pain. But no matter how much you told yourself you needed to move on, guilt whispered, "You can't leave them. You owe them. They need you. They'll be lost without you." Let's take the example of a woman named Emily. Emily was in a relationship with a man who didn't value her. He was distant, unkind, and emotionally unavailable. Despite her efforts to communicate, to meet his needs, and to keep the relationship afloat, Emily found herself feeling drained and emotionally exhausted. Every day, she felt less and less like herself, but she stayed. Why? Because she felt guilty. She felt guilty that he might be hurt. She felt guilty that he needed her. She felt guilty that he couldn't seem to be happy without her. So, she kept giving. She kept staying. She kept sacrificing her peace for his comfort. One day, Emily realized that her guilt was suffocating her. She had been so focused on what he needed that she had lost sight of what she needed. She had forgotten that her happiness, her mental peace, and her sense of self-worth mattered. But still, guilt kept her stuck. It made her second-guess her worth. It convinced her that if she left, she would be abandoning him, causing him more pain. It told her that if she walked away, she was being selfish. But eventually, Emily took the hardest step of all. She decided to let go. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't instant. She had to face the guilt. She had to confront the fear of being seen as the bad person. She had to silence the voice in her head that told her she was a failure for leaving. But what Emily realized was that the moment she released herself from the grip of guilt, she began to heal. She began to reclaim her life. She began to breathe again. She started to rediscover who she was outside of the toxic relationship. Emily's story is not uncommon. We all struggle with guilt when we try to let go of relationships that no longer serve us. But the truth is, guilt is not a reflection of love. It's a reflection of fear. We fear being judged. We fear being misunderstood. We fear being labeled as selfish. But when you choose to let go of guilt, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your ability to make choices that honor your growth and your happiness. Let's reflect on this for a moment. What are you holding on to out of guilt? Is it a friendship where you give more than you receive? Is it a relationship where you feel like you're always walking on eggshells? Is it a job or a career that drains you emotionally and physically? Yet you stay because you feel responsible for others' livelihoods. When we stay out of guilt, we ignore our own needs, our own desires, and our own growth. We stop prioritizing ourselves, and we begin to believe that we are only worthy of love and respect if we continuously give without asking for anything in return. But this is a dangerous belief. It leads to burnout. It leads to resentment. It leads to a life where we are not truly living, but merely existing for others. Letting go of guilt means choosing your peace over the comfort of others. It's about recognizing that your happiness and well-being are just as important as anyone else's. It's about trusting that those who truly care about you will understand that your decision to release them is not a rejection. It's a step toward healing. I know this is difficult. Letting go of guilt is not easy. But the first step is understanding that guilt is not your responsibility. You are not responsible for other people's feelings. You are responsible for your own. You cannot live your life in constant sacrifice, giving up your happiness for others, without eventually losing yourself. Guilt keeps us stuck in a cycle of self-sacrifice, but once you let go of it, you open the door to self-love, self-respect, and personal freedom. Here's a question to ask yourself. Who or what are you staying attached to because of guilt? Take a moment to really sit with that. Ask yourself, what would happen if I let go of the guilt? What would happen if I finally prioritized my own well-being and stopped taking on the responsibility of everyone else's happiness? The act of letting go, in the end, becomes an act of self-love. You are not abandoning anyone. You are choosing to honor yourself. You are choosing your peace, your happiness, and your future. And when you begin to release guilt, you will realize that you can love and care for others without sacrificing your own life. You are not a failure for letting go. You are not cruel for choosing yourself. In fact, the most loving thing you can do for others is to take care of yourself. When you are healed, when you are whole, when you are at peace, you can show up in a way that is far more powerful than if you stayed stuck in guilt. It's time to release the grip of guilt and free yourself from the chains that keep you bound to relationships or situations that no longer serve your highest good. Let go and embrace the freedom to grow, heal, and create the life you deserve, the strength to move forward. The decision to let go is not an easy one. It's never simple to walk away from people, situations, or dreams that you've invested so much time and energy into. Letting go often feels like a betrayal, a failure, or even a loss. It's understandable to feel conflicted. After all, letting go means leaving something behind that once had meaning, something that was once important. But the strength to move forward, to release what no longer serves you, is the key to unlocking your true potential. Moving forward requires strength, but not the kind of strength that comes from keeping everything together. It's the strength to break free from the emotional chains that have kept you stuck. It's the strength to choose your future over your past, your peace over your pain, and your growth over your comfort zone. Moving forward is about creating a life that aligns with your purpose, your dreams, and your truth, no matter how uncomfortable the process may feel. Let me share a story with you that beautifully illustrates the strength it takes to move forward. Meet Rachel. Rachel had been in an unhealthy relationship for years. Her partner, while kind in some ways, was emotionally unavailable. He couldn't meet her needs. He wasn't supportive of her ambitions. And worst of all, he often made her feel as though she wasn't good enough. Yet, Rachel stayed. She stayed because she loved him. She stayed because she didn't want to be alone. And, most of all, she stayed because she was afraid that letting go meant failure. She kept hoping that things would change, that he would eventually come around. But over time, Rachel realized something powerful. She was not happy. She was constantly anxious, questioning her worth, and feeling drained. She had stopped pursuing her own dreams because she was so focused on trying to make the relationship work. The emotional weight of this was unbearable. Finally, Rachel realized that she was sacrificing herself for someone else's comfort. She wasn't moving forward. She was stuck in a cycle of hope that was never going to materialize into reality. The moment Rachel decided to let go, it felt like an immense weight had been lifted from her shoulders. But that relief didn't come immediately. The first few weeks were full of uncertainty and pain. She doubted her decision. She feared being alone. She feared that she wasn't strong enough to move on. She felt guilty for leaving someone she had loved for so long. But with time, Rachel began to realize something profound. Moving forward wasn't about leaving someone behind. It was about stepping into her own life again. The strength to move forward came not from denying her emotions or pretending the relationship hadn't mattered, but from honoring herself. Moving forward was the key to rediscovering her own worth, her own passions, and her own potential. Rachel's decision to let go was an act of self-love, and it was the beginning of her transformation. This story illustrates something crucial. Moving forward is not about erasing the past. It's about acknowledging it, accepting it, and choosing to create something better for your future. Moving forward is not about forgetting what you've been through, but about using what you've learned to create the life you truly deserve. Many of us find ourselves in situations where we feel stuck, whether it's in a relationship, a job, or a personal struggle. And sometimes the hardest part is not recognizing that we need to move forward. It's having the strength to take that first step. The unknown can be frightening, especially when you're used to a certain comfort, even if that comfort is causing you pain. But the strength to move forward is often the only thing that will propel you toward your best life. Think about your own life. What parts of your life are you holding on to, even though you know they no longer serve you? Where are you stuck? Are there relationships you're holding on to because you're afraid of what life would be like without them? Are there fears, doubts, or limiting beliefs that are holding you back from stepping into your future? Moving forward means facing these fears head-on, acknowledging them, and choosing to rise above them. The truth is, the past doesn't define you. Your mistakes, your failures, your disappointments, they don't have the power to dictate who you are today or who you will be tomorrow. You have the strength to move beyond them. Every single day is a new opportunity to step into a future that aligns with your highest potential. The strength to move forward is not about being perfect. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about choosing to keep moving despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, and despite the pain. Moving forward requires courage. Courage to believe that you are worthy of a life filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Courage to trust that the best is yet to come. Courage to believe that by letting go of the past, you are making space for something greater. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on this. What does moving forward look like for you? It may be letting go of a toxic relationship. It may be leaving behind a job that no longer fulfills you. It may be walking away from old habits or mindsets that no longer serve you. Whatever it is, moving forward begins with the decision to choose yourself. This decision isn't always easy, and it's not always immediate. Sometimes, it's a series of small steps that lead to bigger changes. But with each step, you gain strength. With each step, you move closer to the life you truly want. And with each step, you reaffirm your worth. You reaffirm that you are worthy of a future filled with possibilities, not defined by what you've left behind. Think of a time when you made a decision that was difficult but necessary for your growth. How did you feel once you took that first step? How did your life change after you moved forward? That feeling of empowerment, that sense of freedom, is what happens when you release the past and embrace the future. You step into your own power. You stop allowing your past to control you, and you take full responsibility for creating the life you deserve. The strength to move forward lies in your ability to let go of what no longer serves you, to release what weighs you down, and to trust that the future holds something better. It's about understanding that your happiness, peace, and success are in your hands, and that the decisions you make today shape the life you live tomorrow. You are strong enough to move forward. You are worthy enough to step into the life you were always meant to have. And when you choose to move forward with courage and faith, there is nothing that can stop you from becoming the person you were always meant to be. Embracing the freedom of letting go. Letting go is not just about releasing what no longer serves you. It's about making space for something greater. It's the realization that when you remove the things, the people, and the mindsets that weigh you down, you are opening the door to unlimited possibilities. Embracing the freedom of letting go is one of the most empowering experiences you can have. It's about reclaiming your life, your peace, and your future. But this freedom doesn't always come immediately after you let go. In fact, it's often a gradual process. Letting go is not a one-time event. It's a journey that involves emotional, mental, and spiritual liberation. At first, it might feel like you've left something important behind. It might feel empty or uncertain. But that emptiness is only temporary. It's the space that's being created for something new, something better, something that truly aligns with your purpose. The freedom that comes from letting go is like the feeling of walking into a room that has just been cleaned. The air feels fresher, the space feels lighter, and your mind feels clearer. For so long, you've been trapped in clutter, emotional clutter, mental clutter, relational clutter. But once you start to let go, you feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. The burden that you've carried, whether it's guilt, fear, or regret, begins to fade. And what remains is a sense of lightness, clarity, and peace. Let me tell you about a man named Mark. Mark had been working in a job for years that he hated. The work was draining, the people were toxic, and he had no passion left for what he did. But he stayed. He stayed because he feared the uncertainty of leaving. He stayed because he felt guilty for even considering walking away from a stable job. He stayed because he thought he needed it, even though deep down, he knew it was holding him back. One day, after a particularly stressful week, Mark realized that staying in this job wasn't just affecting his happiness, it was affecting his health. He felt tired all the time, his anxiety was through the roof, and his sense of purpose had disappeared. Mark decided to let go. He handed in his resignation, and although the first few days felt terrifying, A strange feeling of peace washed over him. It wasn't easy. The fear of the unknown was still there, but something shifted. He realized that by letting go of the job, he was allowing himself to be free to find work that would align with his true passions. He was making space for a future he could truly embrace. Months later, Mark found work that he loved. He was surrounded by a supportive team, and he felt energized every day. The emotional and physical toll his old job had taken on him faded, and he began to thrive in a way he hadn't in years. Mark's story is a perfect example of how embracing the freedom of letting go creates space for something better. When he let go of the job that drained him, he made room for a life that gave him fulfillment, joy, and peace. This process is true for every area of your life. When you let go of toxic relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, you create space for healthier, more fulfilling connections. When you release old habits and limiting beliefs, you make room for new opportunities and ways of thinking. Letting go is not about sacrifice, it's about opening yourself up to the abundance that life has to offer. Here's the important thing to realize. Letting go doesn't mean you've lost anything valuable. It means you've gained something even more valuable. It means you've made room for your authentic self to emerge. It means you're no longer trapped by fear, guilt, or uncertainty. It means you've chosen to walk towards a future that is in alignment with your highest potential. But here's where many people get stuck. They are afraid of what letting go might mean for their future. What will happen if they step away from a toxic relationship? What will their life look like if they walk away from a job that's familiar, even if it makes them miserable? The fear of what they might lose can often overshadow the excitement of what they might gain. But here's the truth. What you gain by letting go is always greater than what you lose. I understand how hard it can be to step into the unknown. The feeling of loss is real, and it can be overwhelming. But the freedom that follows is worth it. Imagine walking through life unburdened by the emotional baggage that others or your past have placed on you. Imagine living without the weight of guilt, fear, and doubt. Imagine being able to move forward, confidently, into the life you were meant to create for yourself. Finally, the freedom of letting go is also the freedom to be authentically you. How many times have you stayed in a situation, a job, or a relationship because you felt like you had to? How many times have you compromised your happiness, your values, or your dreams because you were afraid of disappointing others or being seen as selfish? Letting go frees you from those chains. It frees you to live a life that is aligned with your truest self. You deserve to live a life that is full of joy, peace, and fulfillment. You deserve to walk away from the things that are holding you back, even if it's hard at first. But when you begin to embrace the freedom of letting go, you will realize that you are not losing anything valuable. You are gaining your freedom, your self-respect, and your power. One of the most beautiful things about letting go is that it makes room for the things you truly desire. It clears the path for new experiences, new relationships, and new opportunities to enter your life. But until you let go of the past, whether it's toxic people, outdated habits, or limiting beliefs, you will continue to hold yourself back from experiencing the fullness of what life has to offer. Embracing the freedom of letting go means trusting that everything you need is already inside you. It means recognizing that you are worthy of love, respect, and peace. And it means believing that by letting go of what no longer serves you, you are making space for something better, something that aligns with your dreams, your vision, and your purpose. So, let me ask you this. What are you holding on to that is preventing you from experiencing the freedom you deserve? What do you need to release in order to make room for your true potential? The freedom you seek is already waiting for you. It's just a matter of choosing to let go and trust that the universe will fill the space with something better. Let go. Embrace the freedom and step into the future that is yours to create. As we reach the end of this chapter, I want you to pause and reflect on everything we've shared. Letting go is not about hate. It is not about anger. It is not about revenge. Letting go is about healing. It is about freeing yourself from the silent chains that have bound you for too long. It is about creating space in your life for peace, for joy, and for the destiny you are meant to fulfill. We often mistake holding on for strength. We believe that loyalty means never walking away, that love means enduring endless pain, that friendship means tolerating disrespect, or that family means never setting boundaries. But true strength is not in how long you hold on. True strength is in knowing when to release what has expired, to walk away from what is draining you, and to courageously step into a future that is waiting for you. Every person, every relationship, every situation has a season. Some people are in your life to teach you lessons. Some are there to help you grow. Some are meant to walk with you only for a time, and some are meant to stay. The wisdom of life is knowing the difference, and the courage of life is acting on that knowledge. Letting go will not always feel easy. At first, it may feel like you are tearing yourself away from something familiar, something that once brought you comfort. You may feel the pull of guilt, whispering that you are abandoning someone. You may feel the sting of fear, asking what life will be like without them. But with every act of letting go, there is a deeper truth waiting to be discovered. That you are not losing yourself. When you release what no longer serves you, you gain clarity. You gain strength. You gain freedom. You begin to see yourself as you truly are. Strong, worthy, and capable of walking into new beginnings. And those new beginnings are not just replacements for what you've let go of. They are upgrades. They are opportunities designed to align with who you are now, not who you used to be. Letting go is not rejection. It is redirection. It is not abandonment. It is alignment. It is not cruelty. It is courage. By letting go, you are telling yourself and the world, I value my peace. I value my future. I value my purpose. And nothing is more powerful than a person who values themselves enough to release what is holding them back. I want you to imagine this. You're standing at the door of your destiny, but in your hands, you are clutching things from your past. Old relationships, toxic patterns, expired seasons. The door will not open until your hands are free. And the only way to free your hands is to let go of what you're holding. When you do, you'll discover that the door swings wide open, inviting you into the future you've always dreamed of. So ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I need to release? Who am I carrying in my heart that no longer belongs in my journey? What fears or guilt am I allowing to keep me stuck in a place I was never meant to stay? And most importantly, what freedom is waiting for me on the other side of letting go? As you reflect on these questions, remember this. Letting go is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. It is the birth of healing. It is the doorway to a brighter, stronger, freer version of yourself. My friend, don't let guilt keep you bound. Don't let fear silence your courage. Don't let familiarity rob you of your future. Let go. Step into the freedom that is waiting for you. Step into the life that God has prepared for you. Step into the wholeness that comes from walking away from what has expired and running toward what is eternal. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you know. And you are worthy of the peace, the love, and the future that come when you choose to let go. If this message has spoken to your heart, if it has encouraged you, inspired you, or given you the courage to release what no longer serves you, then I invite you to stay connected with us. Subscribe to Motivational Dose so that you never miss the encouragement you need to keep moving forward in life. Together, we will walk this journey of healing, growth, and transformation. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this chapter. May you find the strength to let go, the courage to heal, and the wisdom to embrace the beautiful future that awaits you. God bless you.